Okay, welcome to Technical Illustration Remote. I am going to show you guys some techniques in order for you guys to construct your boxes in perspective, the boxes that will contain your furniture. Do not jump ahead and just start drawing your furniture. All your furniture must start off as a box that completely encapsulates tightly the furniture. That's why you needed to get reference for real furnishings with real dimensions so that you could create boxes to go around those objects. You can fudge, I think, some of those sizes in order to get them to round up or round down into feet or half feet. If you have something with an odd distance, like a 38-inch wide object, maybe you make it a 40-inch, or I have to do math. Maybe it's a 3-foot object instead of a 38-inch object. That sort of thing. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start off again. You're going to start off with a plan. You need to have this set up first with all of your footprints plotted out for all of your furniture in the actual size on the graph paper on there. All right, once you have that, you then will take your gridded room and you will put these shapes onto your gridded floor using the measurements, X amount of feet from the wall, the back wall, 3 feet wide, 3 feet by 3 feet. That is going to be a table. Here is a drafting table, a work desk. Here is a stool. In this very simple page that I've set up, or this very simple sparse room that I've created, you guys will be making, I hope, more interesting rooms than I'm doing. But I just wanted to give you guys a quickie. I'm just trying to show you some stuff. So here we go. All right, so I'm going to be sending out this handout as well, and it's going to show you guys the 3 ways to find heights of your boxes in the grid, because it's very simple to plot your boxes in these grids, just the footprints. What do you do when you have to make them actually box shapes? How do you make those box shapes that actually will contain your furnishings and keep that more or less accurate? Well, there are 3 ways to do that. So we're going to approach all 3. So I've got about, what do I got here? I got a 3-foot tall table, a 3-foot tall desk, and maybe a 2.5-foot tall stool that happens to be 1.5 feet by what looks to be 2 feet, but it's not in a box. It's it's like centered on a box, so half in, half out. So that's not a big deal. You can do this. All right, let me get my tools. First step, gosh. So it's this is a very simple technique, and hopefully I can make it seem simple by throwing it down here for you. So the first way to figure out the height of objects is, of course, you have to know the height of the object. But the first step really is to draw in all the edges of your boxes and to estimate things. So you will take your straight edge and you'll bring in your, if you have your T-square, great. If you don't, then you're just doing this very carefully. And you're just going to be putting in some verticals, maybe not too darkly until you committed to some heights. But you need to get these guys in there. Whoops, let me change this. Let's flip this so that it's not catching on my thumbtack there. This box is a little bit difficult because tricky, because it's actually on the vanishing point, or the center of vision. So it's actually perfectly aligned with the center of vision line. And so you don't see any side of it, and it's not tipped away or tipped toward. It's going straight away in 1-point perspective. So I'm only going to draw 1 line to that, and then we'll figure out how to fix that. Well, we'll figure out how to plot the height of that. So let's get some more going here. Boom. Boom. We'll do this stool here. I'm just sort of guessing at this and making sure I'm going nice and straight, vertically, very straight. All right, and this one's lining up almost with the back of this other cube that makes up my desk. All right, and one last one right here. I'd probably do this on, I'll do this kind of messy on one layer, and then once I've got all my boxes sort of squared away, I'll throw another layer of tracing paper over that so I can do clean boxes, or just use those boxes actually. Once you get the boxes established, that's not going to be your final illustration, obviously, but you will have that underneath your another sheet of tracing paper in order for you to then start to feel out the forms of your furnishings inside those boxes. Okay, what are we going to do here? 3 feet. All right, so let's start with the first one. We're going to start over here. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go over here, and the thing is that we're going to go horizontal to do these measurements, and we're going to plot from the corner, the bottom corners of one of your objects. So I'm going to start with the drafting table because that's a nice big simple object. I'm going to start from this corner. It's 1 feet away from the wall. Now I have gridded the side wall, and that's what I'm going to use to do this first plotting of height. I've gridded the side wall. I'm going to use a side wall. Another version or another technique is to use the back wall, which you guys might have. And the third version is to use measurements, to do measurements using the grid on the ground. So if you haven't gridded your side walls in your box, maybe you don't need to in order to, because you have 2 other options to do this. But if you have a grid on the side, which might come in handy if you start drawing windows and things on your side walls, then you can use those for this technique. So all you're really doing is with a straight edge, or maybe because you've got all these nice grid lines going on, you are going to go horizontally to the wall. And then you're going to count up 1, 2, 3 feet. That's 3 feet right there. Once I get to that, I can then bring up a nice straight horizontal straight edge. And then I'm going to bring it back and have it intersect with the corner that it is connected to. So I didn't estimate quite the height of this quite well, but I can fix that by connecting the dots right there. Now, once I've got that, I can erase this plotting line because that's going to just confuse me. But this is the height right here. Let's make sure we make doubly sure that this is the height. Maybe I will leave a dot here on my grid to remind me that that's the height of this table. Once I have that, I can start drawing across and connecting it to this vertical edge. And then we can use our vanishing point to connect to this corner. Can you see? Hopefully I'm not in the way. Oh, my head is in the way. It is not good. Hopefully that has not blocked too much stuff. Let's see. Oh dear. Well, I'll find out. Oh, it's a comedy of errors here, folks. All right, so I'm going to draw this. I'm going to go hover over what is the vertical of that back corner of this box I'm making. Once I've got that, I can probably, I'll just bring my straight edge over and connect, draw it up to this carefully, connect there. Now these boxes, they should be okay close to what they're supposed to be. They should be accurate. They don't have to be perfect. Unless you're, of course, well, perfect is the wrong word. Unless, of course, you are going to, your object is a perfect box, then maybe it would have to be perfect then. All right, so let's see. There's a little bit of a disconnect here as I connect these guys. Yeah, that'll work. So I might have gone a little over. Might have to adjust that, but that'll do. All right, so there's my first box. I would also, the red lines here, you're probably going to want to, you're going to want to connect all of these. And of course, you could freehand if you've got this grid and you have a steady hand. There you go. That's the first box. That's my desk. All right, now I'm going to do just my stool. My stool is 2.5 feet tall. So once again, find the closest corner. I like to use the front corner, not the back corner, but it doesn't really matter. I'll use, but the foremost corner that's closest to where I'm going to use as a reference. So I go here, I make a point, I draw here, and count out 2.5. So 1, 2, and I'll estimate a half. You can get much more careful about your half. Whoops, I have to make sure that I am. There we go. That'll do. That's my half. And again, I have messed up and not made my verticals quite, my vertical edges are not quite tall enough to, or that I just didn't estimate very well. I'll make this one a little bit taller and hopefully that'll do the trick. I think that'll do the trick. Boom. Again, I don't have to draw this line over. We'll keep this reference point here just in case. But now I know that this is the top of my stool height. And then with that information, I know that all of my other verticals are a little bit too short. A little more height on these guys. Hope everyone's safe in the storm we're having while I'm doing this remotely. All right, let's connect the back of the, and we'll connect. Now don't do the back yet until you have projected the front corner to, yes, yeah, I was about to project, yeah, that would be a mistake. All right, and to the back. I'm using a, just stuck a push pin at my center of vision or my vanishing point. All right, now let's connect the dots here. This is, and notice that this is, this is a 1/2 foot. This is not a, these are not even feet on this particular object. This object is a 1.5 foot deep and also not centered. All right. And again, not necessarily having to be perfect, because once you put the object in there and you render this whole thing, we're not going to be able to tell that the box wasn't absolutely perfect unless you really, it's really warped somehow. But these are nice. They feel like they're in space. Okay, so that was projecting from the wall. Now let's project from the back wall. And we'll do one little fancy thing at the end, but we can project from the back wall. And same thing, except now we're going to, the vanishing point is going to become more important because, and I would not, if you have the same situation I have right now, where I've got an actual line or height line that's actually lining up with the center of vision and the central vanishing point line here, and it's all going to be a straight line all the way down. It's really kind of hard to estimate the height there. So go and use these guys over here to estimate your height. All right. Go a little higher just to give myself a little bit more room. All right, so choose the back corner this time, not the front corner like I was over here. Back corner, follow it back to the wall. Now, if you're on a line very conveniently on the grid line, you don't have to use your straight edge to get there. You just know that it will line up with that line. And then 1, 2, 3 goes there. Now I need to use this to bisect. Well, actually, to come here and then start drawing in a line that will be the top edge of my table here. And then we'll have that dovetail like that. And we'll bring that up there. And we got a little bit extra, too much line here, so that goes away. All right. Once we've got that, we should be able to project everybody else. All right. All right. So, boom. we'll just, now notice, this is the funny thing about perspective, because this side of the box is perfectly lined up with the center of vision. And that central visual ray, the 1-point perspective vanishing point, it's perfectly straight, and we don't see any sides of it. It's not tipping away. It's not, there's no angle to it. It's straight vertical there. And that makes that a little bit tricky to guesstimate the height. So it's nice to have this side of these guys over here so we can click, click, and do the height. Notice we're not going to see the back edge through the box like we do here. We see the back edge. We see the back edge. We don't see the back edge in this because it's all perfectly aligned with our eye, with that with our point of view, and it's we're just perfectly centered on that. All right, that's the second way to find the height of boxes in a grid. All right, last one is to actually use the floor grid to find the height of a box. And since I haven't got a box yet, I'm going to add a box because that will make this a little bit easier to do. So let's say, and I'm not going to do this in red, but it's some sort of file cabinet, maybe, or little table. And it's, let's say it's, again, 3 feet tall. All right, but we know what the footprint looks like because it's here. But let's say we don't have the side here, we don't have the side here. We're very far away from the background, or for some reason we didn't grid out the back. We only have the grid on the floor, whatever. Just know that the vertical height, bump, 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 is going to be the same as the horizontal height at the same distance. So at this distance, the closest corner, we can count 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 feet. And that is going to be the same as counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 feet here. But in order for us to take this and use this, what we need to do is we need to use, I like to use a little scrap of paper. I plot my corner of my piece of paper right here on the corner. So I know that's a starting point, and then I find the three feet or whatever distance I'm looking for. And then I can just take it and keep it nice and straight, and boom. And then come back with my straight edge. I have that height. And once I have one height, I can start futzing around with the rest. If I got one edge and I got the height on one corner, the rest should be something you can figure out. I'm just estimating right now, but I'm going to get a little bit more serious shortly when I start bringing in my vanishing line. Okay, so these guys are actually lining up. That's a little, I would choose differently perhaps than to have this edge lining up perfectly with the edge of my stool. But then again, my stool is probably going to be round when I'm done. So it probably won't matter that this box happens to be lining up with that one. All right. And oops, forgot to do this part. Great. Didn't rush this too much and it's going to work. I'm going to rush that a little bit. It needs to be tweaked a tad. All right. There's my box. Whoops, you need the back of the box or the front of the box. All right, there's my file cabinets. All right, great. So I've got a nice little cubby here. I got my boxes, and I used this, you know, if you had a compass, you could do this, and it would, you know, take this object and flip it up, and the 1, 2, 3 feet would go here. Now, keep in mind that this 3 feet here is not the same as this 3 feet here. So you couldn't take this measurement that I got. I couldn't take this measurement that I have right here and then use it on my rear wall. Look at how much taller it is. You'd have to do that measurement from these guys that line up with this guy. That edge you'd have to use 1, 2, 3 for that to line up. Yeah, and that lines up, see? Right on. All right, one last trick. That's how to do this. And this is what you guys will be doing for next week. You're going to be making the boxes. You're not going to start drawing your furniture, but you're going to be making your boxes to put your furniture in. And ready to go in class next time. But one last trick before we go, how to show ascending or descending parallel lines when you guys are, oh, this is gonna be a little bit, I'm gonna do some sneakiness. Oh, I'm gonna do some sneakiness to be able to film this. All right, it's gonna be messy, but I can do it. All right. Hi, everybody. Okay, so let's say that this drafting table has an angled tabletop, and we want to show that. Well, when you start drawing a plane or parallel lines that are going going to a vanishing point, and when you take that plane, the top of the box, and you effectively raise it up so it's now pointing up above the horizon line, it's no longer vanishing on the horizon line. It's still going because these lines are parallel with the walls and everything else in your 1 point perspective of your box. It's still going to this line of a vanishing, the center of your vision, basically. But your center of your vanishing point for the diagonal is going to be higher than this actual horizon line. You're going to have to do a little fiddling. So how do you do that? Well, we're going to estimate or guesstimate a little bit. Let's say, let's start on the other side here. Let's say we decide that the top of this thing goes up at, let's say it goes up to that angle. And maybe that wouldn't line up exactly with this corner. We'll say it when it pops up, it probably doesn't go there. It probably goes to there. So let's say this is an angle, and this is this flat top being flipped up and it's pointing north. Well, that means I can now project to a vanishing point. But first, let's extend. And I don't know if I can show this. Let's see if I can show this without causing too much chaos. What I'm about to do. I think I can do this. But my light is going to push my camera back. Okay. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take my center of vision, this line. Remember that thing that lined up my box here? That's that line that goes to the actual vanishing point on the horizon, that all of the horizontal or all of the receding lines in my gridded room are going to that vanishing point. I've got one object that's actually pointing above that, but it's still related to this line here. So I'm going to extend my vanishing point line up onto a separate piece of paper that I've got off of my thing. And then I'm going to project my corner here to where it would go. And it's vanishing. Good, it's on my camera, great. There. So this is actually the ascending vanishing point, or AVP, ascending vanishing point, ascending vanishing point. All right, and once I've got that vanishing point, I can go down to the other corner here and get the other side of my box. And I should have done this in another color so it's not so confusing. But it's a little late now, guys. You'll just have to trust me. This is the way it's done. All right. And then we can connect it. Now, of course, if this was a flipped up, if it was just that the whole table was doing this, then yes, the whole table would go up to the corner, it would go to the corners. And that's what we'll say. We'll say this thing goes, and it's long enough that it goes to the outside edge of my box. All right, and that's a little wedge that it would be creating. And you'll see that there's a slight, it's converging slightly in a slightly different direction up to the ascending vanishing point. Now, let's say this whole table was turned around and pointing towards us, and the person was sitting behind it, we'd move it forward, blah, blah, blah. But let's say that was a possibility. Then we'd have a descending vanishing point, which I don't think I can fit on my table. But it's the same principle. You draw this line off of your page or as low as you have to, like so. Let's bring her back. I've drawn this line down below. And I'm going to imagine that, oh, well, this might not be too bad. Let's say that I'm going to make the pitch of this go to here, and then it has to go connect to that. So yeah, this is not going to go off my table at all. All right, so with that in mind, I would project where I want this to go. I'm lining up the back corner and the top of this thing and finding a descending vanishing point here. Descending VP, descending vanishing point. And with that descending vanishing point, I can have my drafting table tilt away. There we go. So that's two ways to do that. Now, if your table was tilting left or right, there is no vanishing point or descending or ascending vanishing point, because it's parallel to the picture plane. So there's no worry, you don't have to worry about that. So if this was what was going on here, then it would be pretty simple. I try and match this angle again. There wouldn't be much change in it. It would go straight back like that. And there you go. That would be how you do that. And it would follow these same, that would be the vanishing. This is where it's converging. It's going to converge in this direction. It's not going to converge this way or that way. All right, that's what I wanted to show you guys. Hopefully you can see all that on my subpar camera. Hopefully my head wasn't in the way for too much of this. I will be posting this shortly with any luck. Hope you have a great day and a nice week. And please contact me if you have any questions about any of this stuff, because I'm sure there's questions. All right. Have a great one. Bye-bye. I'm going to turn this thing off anytime now.